War. War never changes, and neither does the Doom Dweller.
Icarus here, and welcome to yet another edition of Doom Mod Madness. This time round we're checking out Fallout Vault 666. I didn't know Vault Tech went that high with the number of vaults, but here we are, all the same. In terms of what you'll find within these subterranean walls, demons. Quite a lot of them, in fact. What a surprise. That said, in terms of influence over the greater Fallout series, this one is very much more Fallout 1 and 2 coded. Heck, it even comes replete with an appearance from everyone's favorite mutant overlord, that being, of course, the Master.
You do want to be a part of that, don't you?
Don't!
In terms of your mission, you have been sent out to locate the water chip. What else? Otherwise, everyone from your home vault, and more importantly your pet bunny, will indeed perish. Either way, the Doom Dweller, as he's referred to by the mod here, is more than eager to do a bit of a ripping and a tearing, and happily, the mod kicks you off with a 10mm pistol and a ripper to make sure that particular endeavor gets off to a smooth start. That said, before we get a little too ahead of ourselves, it's worth mentioning that Vault 666 doesn't just dump you into the action here, it also features its own, fully voiced, custom intro introducing you to the level itself and giving that vital bit of extra Fallout flavor. Must admit, the voice work here is absolutely top-notch. I could have sworn I was listening to Ron Perlman himself narrating this intro.
But what's this? No Vault Dwellers in sight, but more mutants than you can shake a boomstick at. It stinks like rotten meat. So pump that power fist, rev that ripper, and unload your 10mm right into the face of hell.
So yes, this is very much an experience that leans more traditionally to the Doom side of the gameplay spectrum. I don't know how many of you would be comfortable with a Doom mod that attempted turn-based combat. I imagine you'd still be interested all the same, because you're a bunch of sickos. But in all honesty, the most significant changes that you'll experience during the course of this are in regards to the weaponry. And noticeably, they've been swapped out for more Fallout-accurate variants, though for the most part, the progression between them will feel very familiar to those of you accustomed to how the Doom arsenal escalates. For me, the real secret sauce of Fallout Vault 666 is that it also takes time to add these little interactable elements, little text logs, little bits of information that you'll find dotted around the place that deepen your knowledge of the vault itself and what may be going on inside. Along the way, you'll also find yourself periodically accosted over comms by the Master, but as opposed to the narrator, I'm pretty sure these lines are just wholesale taken from the original game itself.
More subjects. I think I shall start with you.
Doom.
In terms of exploring the level, it's broken up into a few key sections, the first of which is obviously the outside leading into the cave system, and then the vault entrance itself. And as you might suspect, successive sections are broken up by keycard access. You'll probably also notice that there's a few vending machines littered around. The lesser ones will dispense Nuka-Cola, which function pretty much the same as your health potions, whereas the jet dispenser, well, that just flat out makes you invincible. For those of you wondering whether there's a possibility of developing a raging jet addiction during the course of this, sadly, that's not part of the mechanics here, but it's not exactly an item that's in plentiful supply, only one dispensement per machine. As you can plainly see, this is a map that does not skimp on the action. In fact, the rocket launcher here is something that you can acquire before you even enter the vault itself, and things only escalate as you get deeper. The tail end of this opening section of the vault, in fact, rewarding you with the Gatling laser. In terms of further reaches of the level, exploration is fairly straightforward. Like I said earlier, a lot of this is demarked by keycard access, and your first major port of call would be in radioactive waste processing, but not before you've had ample opportunity to punch a bunch of demons into oblivion, courtesy of a psycho vending machine. I mean, no wonder this vault went sideways. Everyone working here must have been loaded up to high hell. Not sure if this was ever a feature of original Recipe Fallout, but these floors here actually propel you forwards and make it a little tricksy to back yourself up. Not that it's a complete impossibility. Though I will say it caused me a bit of a significant headache further down the line when I was desperately trying to figure out where the yellow keycard was. Not that it's an expressly essential thing for you to find, but ignoring it does mean that you'll miss out on not just this all-expenses-paid luxury trip into the radioactive waste tunnels, which, I might add, gives you a few good contextual clues on where to find a yellow keycard, but more crucially, the ultimate reward for having done so will be the opportunity to pet this here dog. Who's a good boy? That's a good boy. Before you get there, however, you'll have to first fight your way through the water pump section, the first room of which dropping you unceremoniously into this quite hellish-feeling ambush, doubly so when you consider that I was labouring through that fight with less than 30 points of health. Thankfully, the map turns down the heat ever so slightly in the intervening rooms, which ultimately leads to a little bit of switch flippage, intel acquirement, and oh good, it's in Archvile. Good, great, fine. But you know what, I can't be too harsh. If we're going by average TTA, more commonly known as time to Archvile, Vault 666 has done a pretty good job of pacing things out. But yeah, the first time I took the elevator down to this here section, I didn't actually have any inkling of where that yellow key was at all, so all I could do was just gaze mournfully at this doggy trapped behind a force field. In terms of the benefits of Dogmeat, however, once you manage to free him, he'll assist you in fights, as well as search out various useful items. You will note that he does in fact have a health bar, and yes, it is entirely possible for Dogmeat to kick the bucket. And believe it or not, that will factor into one of the other impressive things about Vault 666, the fact that the outro has various customized ending cards that reflect what you managed to achieve. I will say that I did experience some difficulty in the final stretch of Vault 666, and I'm trying to figure out if that was largely self-inflicted. On one hand, I did end up with a comically low degree of health, laboring through this section at 2 points. Not to mention I started to feel a little bit of a pinch here when it came to the ammo supply. That, again, could entirely be down to the fact that I may have been a bit more overzealous with more powerful weaponry when less powerful stuff would have entirely sufficed. If you find yourself in a similar predicament, it's worth knowing that you can indeed scavenge additional ammo from those various lockers dotted around the level. While I'm at it, Mini Cyber Demon, what the heck? Mercifully, they have a lot less health than their full-size counterparts, but yet the rockets still hit full force. But yeah, this entire subsection of the vault just sprinkles in a whole host of surprises here and there, from invisible enemies to good old-fashioned explosive traps. And come to think of it, I'm not really all that surprised that I ended up with 2 points of health to begin with, knowing my relationship with explosives. Either way, after a protracted blood-soaked surge, we finally get our mitts on the water chip. And now it's time to hot-foot it out of this godforsaken vault, provided, of course, you can survive the Master's protracted ramblings, a whole host of demons between you and the way out, and sure, why not throw in a spider mastermind for good measure. We're all friends here, and you know what they say, friends don't let friends finish a level without fighting some inordinate bullshit. Oh, you thought we were done? No! We're not done! I mean, knowing who you know is in this mod. Yeah, it's not much of a spoiler, but still. I acknowledge some people want to experience the minutiae of the final fight for themselves. But yeah, if you've played video games for long enough, you'll instantly recognize that a room full of extremely convenient supplies that top you up to a fairly reasonable amount is shorthand for pretty much one thing and one thing only. That being a final boss fight. Yep, the Master ain't letting you go without a bit of smacking around first. And wouldn't you know it, is actually applying some measure of intellect by not facing you all on his lonesome. You do, in fact, still have to contend with a variety of demons across multiple stages of this fight, in fact, because it's a little bit of a puzzle on how you actually get to deal damage to him in the first place. I say a little bit of a puzzle. What you really need to understand is I am not a smart man. As a consequence, it can take a little while for the occasional mechanical concept to click for me. So while at first I thought that this platform not lowering all the way to the ground, enabling me to get at the Master, was some kind of bug, turns out I just needed to put some brain cells together and raise these stairs so I could just, jump onto the platform. Oh well, lesson learned. One lesson I consistently failed to learn during the course of this map, however, was in making my ammo last, because I just kept running out. I'm not sure what I missed. Obviously something, because I don't think they would have let me reach this stage without having at least a reasonable amount of top-ups. That, or I'm so trigger happy. I'm just so overwhelmingly trigger happy that I'm completely scuppering my own chances. So I did what any reasonable idiot would do. I gave myself a top up. But in any case, all you really need to understand here is after dealing so much damage to the master, that platform will raise and you'll need to repeat the sequence in order to get back on it and continue the process. I'll freely admit, it's an interesting idea for a final boss fight, but personally some aspect of the pacing just didn't quite feel right. Maybe I was just irked by the flagrant, and I mean flagrant disregard for the rule of threes. This thing goes for 4 cycles. I mean, how dare you? But yeah, in all seriousness, it just felt like it dragged on a little longer than it needed to. And honestly, I'll have to throw to you guys out there, whether or not you experienced the same kind of ammo deprivation as I did. Maybe I just did something really dumb. Anyway, let's welcome back the people that skipped the spoiler section and wrap this baby up with a nice red bow. Overall, Vault 666 is really fun. Despite feeling that it might have stumbled ever so slightly at the final hurdle, there's more than enough sprinkled throughout the course of this map to make up for it and show you a good time. I love the inclusion of the narrator, who actually does pop up during the course of gameplay, by the way. He'll mention that you've picked up a shotgun when you pick up a shotgun. Revolutionary, I know. I enjoyed spotting a few Easter eggs perched atop the various lockers across the level. There's definitely an Isabel and Doomslayer combo in there somewhere. And I just really like the inclusion of multiple audio logs, as well as those bits of information you can glean throughout the course of the level to point you in the right direction. Really solid stuff, and from what I can tell, a first-time effort. Impressive. If you fancy giving this a whirl for yourself, you'll find the link, as usual, in the description below. If you'd like to help support the channel, give me $1 and I'll stick your name at the end of the video. And until next time, this has been Mr. Icarus. Hope you have a wonderful day. Icarus out.